Hi everyone, welcome to this week's NAOL review. I'm Albert. Sorry I haven't been reviewing for the past month. There was a lot of schoolwork and I recently got married, so life has been busy. But I'm happy to come back to the review. Okay, so start off with the 1Q game. Thank you, Jerry. Yeah, and of course, also gearing up towards the Chicago Open, which will happen over Memorial Day weekend next month in Evanston. So if you're following the stream or watching the recording, definitely consider coming to the Chicago Open as well. Oh, so here it's interesting. We have almost a mirror shape in the opening. Yeah, of course, nothing wrong with any of this. Okay, both sides each get a corner. And white decide to invade. Yeah, it's pretty standard. Black can also turn here. Both are possible. The difference here is, I think at this point, minimal. So nothing much going on. So here, a common AI-inspired move will be attachment. Okay, sorry, I'm checking to make sure my audio is recorded. Okay. Yeah, so attach is a more proactive move than the jump. And this idea is you want to exploit some weakness in the corner and to help white basically make sabaki. A few common response. So let's say black hane, black can play the double hane. So at first glance, it seems like white's shape is broken. But the idea here is that white can sacrifice some stone on the right to make a stronger shape in the top. So for example, if black plays here, then white kind of settled this group already. So white can play the jump here, the Kosumi. And actually, at this point, even white can play here or the attachment. Compared to just jumping out, white's shape is a little lighter. And because black has to spend another move here at some point, white will have an easier time settling this group. So I think one thing to point out is if white plays something, white is not afraid of black cutting here. If black cuts, white can sacrifice a corner. So it's easy for white to make shape here. On the right side, white didn't really lose that much because white just made some sente exchanges. And later white can still, play something along this line to save the two stones. And if black cuts on the inside, then white can live in the corner. And actually at this point, it will be hard to capture these two stones. So black has to be careful here too. There's a lot of complicated fighting that can continue from here. But from white's perspective, just remember to play lightly. Don't try to save everything. As long as either side gets settled, white is okay here. So that's one basic follow-up. The other basic shape is a black hane here, and white can double hane here when the ladder works. And just remember to check this ladder. So whenever this ladder works, white can hane 3-3. This is a powerful move. Again, this will lead to some sort of sacrifice variation, and white can basically sacrifice some stone in the corner or the right side to sabaki on the left. Sometimes white can also extend here. I'll quickly run through. The other two variations is, extending here. In this case, usually white will play the jump. And notice white can just transition to the right side. You can treat the 1 and 2 exchange as a beneficial exchange. So it's almost like white approach and then black spend a move in the corner. And white had another wedge here, which is in most cases better for white. So in the game, white chose a simple jump. It still plays sometimes, so not necessarily a bad move, but just know that Q16 is also possible. Okay, so black jumped. Directionally, this is correct because in this game, black definitely wants to connect along this line, so then black can get territory on the 5th line. So directionally, this is good. In terms of the exact placement, I think black can consider jumping or kicking here, or be even more aggressive by playing the Keima. Because in this case, black is not afraid of white pushing. So if something like this happens, black is very happy because then black basically solidified the right side. And on the left, white still can't do that much. Even invading, even if let black sacrifice the stone, it won't be the end of the world because the right side is so big. So I recommend this Kema. Kicking here is a similar idea. It just wants to make white heavier before attacking. So in this case, if white respond, you can play the same move as the game. And potentially white will tenuki to go for something like this. And this will be more complicated fight. So this is the first major mistake, I think, for white. White connected. It's just too heavy, right? Descending down at this point will be the only move locally. White wouldn't really want to Hane, I think, because that makes black's corner so really strong. But by descending down, white is still preserving the option to invade here and also to invade here. So even though descending down Gote, I think it will be the proper move in this case. Yeah, connecting here just doesn't do anything relative. It had no benefit compared to going down on the second line. Right, so black's directional play is continue to be very good. Jump is the right direction. Now the right side is almost territory. Okay, so there's a little bit of a fight here, and white got some points. I think something that jumped out is black can definitely connect, and there's no reason to sacrifice anything. So in this case, white's shape is still kind of squeezed. White wouldn't get too many points. And honestly, white should consider cutting here because it could potentially lead to a sacrifice variation, and white can achieve a squeeze and maybe profit on the corner. But directionally, I think black made a good choice by sealing the outside and now attacking this group. Okay, so here, this move is not Sente at this point, so it's not urgent. Black should just cap. There's no way to connect underneath right now. So there's nothing to worry about for black. Okay, so white turn and then black Tanuki. This is also an interesting choice. I think the focus of the game will still be continued in the center because white still has no eyes actually. So black should still play a few more moves. And notice once black has a few more moves, I think that also strengthens the right side. And having a few exchanges here will make the attack more severe. Even if black doesn't want to attack the center, I think the attach is a little questionable. Because we only attach when we're trying to strengthen ourselves. If you want to attack your opponent, attaching is rarely a good move. You want to be about one space apart at least. Because you don't want to give your opponent easy ways to Sabaki and make two eyes, create eye shape. But if you play too close to your opponent, oftentimes it's easy for them to make eyes. Unless you're playing some sort of seal where in the center. But in this case, the attach just allow white to easily settle. Of course, I think white should Hane from the above because this also synergizes with the center weak group. So notice now, white has more stones toward the center, which will help the upper group. Yeah, so white played descent here. I think it's a little bit too passive. Something good to know is that this descent is only worth 12 points locally. And at this stage of the game, this is 60 moves into the game. 12 points is just not that big. So white should not play this descent unless there's a very, very good reason to. Usually that means white has to play here for life, or this descent will somehow weaken black on the right. You can argue now it just weakened black on the right, but it's also not very urgent. So I would recommend white to play something else. So for example, I think this push will be more important because even if you push once and descend, that makes black shape a lot weaker because this turn no longer have that extra cut. Yeah, so it's painful that white has given black a sente turn. Okay, so this is interesting. Black made a Hane, connect, and then seal. But actually, the sequence here is a little inaccurate. Black should just play here and then seal. In this case, the seal is sente. If white doesn't respond, black can Hane here. This group is locally dead.
Oh.
Oh, I take it back. It's a ko. So if white plays 6, there's potentially a ko. But still, if this is a ko, white will definitely respond. If black plays here, then technically white can still live. So there's a one line difference. I think oftentimes we're tempted to be more aggressive, but in this case, it actually backfires. So don't do anything. And notice this is a fake eye at Q3. So that's very important to note. So there's a potential for this to be sente. So regardless, black should not play the Hane. Oh, I saw something. So this locally, it's still Gote actually. White can play here. Oh, and then at this point, white, because the center has 3 liberties, white can still live at the moment. But that means black potentially have to send in sente, and then there will be a lot of this whole squeeze will be sente. So maybe black doesn't want to play the seal right away, because later black can just Hane. And the Hane could be sente actually. Or later, maybe black plays here, and then maybe black will have more stone in the center. So then there's no need to play this move exactly. So in terms of the big points, I think Keima will be big, or just try to invade the corner here. Okay, so white played here, and then black cut. So it seems like black got a little bit lost with these moves. I think black has been playing well directionally, but at this point, it's something worth considering. Does black really need to play from this direction? Cutting here is sente pretty much at any time, so black easily has 2 eyes. So I think it would be worthwhile for black to maximize profit in the center. For example, something like this. So you still allow white to live, same as the game. But see, white still has some strange connecting issues here. So even if black doesn't exploit that right away, if black just plays away something over here, or just ignore this, there will be some sente moves here. So that means black center is quite strong, and black can get all of this territory. I think compared to the game, this is a lot more solid for black. And on the left side is pretty similar. White still has the side. I think white is not really finding good chances to mount a comeback. One problem I see is that the earlier move extension here, this is a slow move. Okay, so at this point, white lost a little initiative in the bottom. In the top, there's a weak group. This move doesn't really pressure black because black can live whenever by playing here in sente. So if white wants to attack black, white has to take away this side first. Of course, right now this is premature, but we established that it's hard to attack black. And this move doesn't directly help white, right? This is still too far away. This is not helping. Black can still come out and attack white. So the only thing this move does is really to secure the left side, which is something over here. And if you have tuned into my previous reviews, I've covered this too. If you're playing a move to solely protect territory on the third or second line, those type of moves tend to be very small, because this move will be only worth at most this amount of territory. And if you're very generous, you count 3 by 5, that's only 15 points. Of course, it's not actually that much, because when white plays here, black can still profit a little bit in the center. And you can argue it's still worth something because this move is closer to the center. So you can say maybe it has 15 points of value. If you compare that to a corner enclosure, the corner enclosure will beat that in terms of points anytime. And remember, the earlier we said the descent here was 12 points. And you're saying a side extension is also in that neighborhood, right? So unless there's a good reason in terms for life and death or thickness, there's no reason to play a very passive side enclosure or side extension like this. Okay, so I think white played a mistake, but where should white play now? So I alluded to earlier, it's about thickness, it's about life and death. So a move that can affect life and death will be something like this, because this strengthens the corner and now black group is not completely safe. Another option is to spend another move in the center, because once white plays another move in the center, then white can potentially think about attacking the right side, or invading at least. So for example, something like this, there's still at least a possibility of invading the corner. For example, the peep at 5 and then maybe try to do something at 7. Or at the very least, if white wants to just play something really aggressive, something like this. It might be hard for black to kill actually, because white can potentially escape through this route. I think by settling the center group first, white is setting up for a potential comeback later. So if, let's say, black defends, this area is still very open. It's quite possible for white to make something happen here later. But without settling the center first, white cannot really do much. Okay, let's continue. I think black is doing well so far. Yeah, black left some points on the table by not maximizing the center, but white is not really doing enough by just getting the left side. You can see white got this area, but black got all of this area. But black's area is up to the 8th line, while white only got to about the 4th line. So of course black is winning right now. So black chose to kill, but white is actually alive. But then that means black got even more in the center. So here is a common mistake Q players make, this Atari. Oftentimes we will see Dom player just play a turn, because in this case white might still play here, and in this case you don't want to make a turn exchange. So this turn is almost like a Aji Keishi. So just play here, extend your liberty. The only time you Atari is if you're worried white might play the turn move and take away this spot. But right now black is not afraid of that, because in this way black will have Sente, and it's still far away from the bottom. I think this is okay for black. In the game it looks similar, but this gives white a lot of forcing move in the center. For example, white extends, the Aji in the center is not very good. White can potentially extend here, or play something like this. So in general, I think black should play the turn. In this particular case, it may not matter that much, but something to keep in mind. Okay, so white just allowed black to get into the corner. I think this is probably the last chance for white to really spice up the game. Connecting is simply too passive. White needs to do something a little more aggressive. So at least, for example, something like this. This should be a little better in terms of territory. Yeah, it just seemed painful that black successfully connected everything and white still doesn't have much. Okay, so at this point white double honeyed and black connected, and the corner died. Technically there's still something. If white cuts, black connect, this is Sente. Otherwise there's a liberty shortage. So black has to reinforce, and then white can live. So which means that when white cut at 1, when white cuts here, maybe black can no longer connect. Yeah, maybe black will have to back down. But still, if the corner is dead, white will lose by a lot. White's main problem is this double hane. Oftentimes, this is a good Tetsuji when living in the corner, but right now, there's not enough space. So white needs to make a ko. I think this is the last chance. Yeah, I think after this, there's really nothing much. And I believe black 6 won the game. Yeah, black won by 50 points. Yeah, I'll move on to the next game, but if people have any questions, I'll come back to this game. As a quick recap, I think white just played a little too passive from the beginning. There's the efficiency gap from M16, and then later in the bottom, white just lived in the corner, a little too passive. And white never found a chance to invade the right side. So black's efficiency just through the roof, while white is stuck with only second line, third line territory. And the fatal flaw was, in the end, nothing happened even in the corner. The idea, last point about this game, about this enclosure for black, is that the corner is not solid. It will never be solid. But through this enclosure, black can really push this influence toward the center. So when black plays enclosure like this, black is actually aiming for this side, not really the corner. And in the game, black got both. That's why white ended up losing by a lot. Okay, so white won this game. Seems like something happened in the corner. This is a legendary Tetsuji. Everyone, I think, probably 5Q and stronger should know this peep. Yeah, 1-2 Tetsuji. But it looks like even before that, white is winning. Okay, so we'll see. Oh, so interesting opening. Double 6-4. Okay. So I'll recommend against this second attachment. I think the first attachment is probably okay. The classic Tetsuji, Joseki is this move, the empty bamboo. So usually white will seal and then you can Keima. In this case, this corner is very, very solid. And white's outside is not very strong because there's a very obvious double peep. Yeah, so I recommend just playing here. If white plays anything to block you, you can Kusumi out. Then you'll have one group and your opponent have two. In general, this is a better fight for black. The problem with the game sequence is that the corner, Aji in the corner is bad. If white peeps at 3-3, especially in Q player, oftentimes it leads to disaster, where the corner end up dying for black. Even if somehow black is able to manage, I'm not sure. Even at this case, it's kind of annoying. Then that means descending is most likely Sente for white. And you'll see in a few moves, black's corner is no longer that big, considering how many Sente moves white has on the outside. So in most cases, black is better off just descending and then playing a Kema. This is a solid 10 points. In the game like this, black wouldn't really have much more than 10 in the corner, assuming white plays correctly. And at this point, jumping is still better. Just have a solid corner, prevent the 3-3 Aji. So if black wants to spend a move locally, just jump. Otherwise, maybe Tenuki. Playing the exchange is worse than Tenuki, actually, in most cases, because that strengthens white without really making the corner safe. Yeah, this is 2k and a 5k. I'm not sure if black can really handle the 3-3. Right, so white play immediately. Okay, so very interesting sequence. So technically, at this point, black can already kill, right? If you remember the endgame to Suji, it's the same peep. Black wins by 1 liberty. But in reality, if black plays like this, this is a very favorable result for white, because white gets a Panuki and now white's shape is extremely strong. Now if you look at the whole game, white is very thick and black only has 12 points in the corner. So white basically successfully used a sacrifice strategy to strengthen the outside. Okay, here I'm reading quickly, but it seems like white can potentially do better. Okay, so white started a ko. Locally, this is correct. I think if white doesn't do that, still the vital point is the 1-2. If white hane, black will peep here. But in some cases, it's worthwhile for white to just play this move, or Tenuki locally, because it's still another black still needs another move to eliminate Ohaji. So now it's okay to sometimes leave shape like this alone, even though you have a ko. The main problem for black is the capture. Whenever there's a ko shape, you should aim to capture the ko last, because that means you have the ko within your control. If black plays here, white Atari, black can capture the ko. Notice it's white's turn to find a ko thread. In the game, by capturing first, black ceded the ko to white. So now white gets to capture first. That's a very big difference. So at this point, the game is basically over already, because white is so strong and black barely got anything. Here, this move is a little slow, I would say. Not that it's small, but because white is so strong, I think white can potentially... white doesn't need to strengthen black like this, so white can just leave it alone. Maybe even try to invade here later. I think connecting is still better, or the tiger's mouth. The problem is cutting here takes away most of the corner, and black is not reducing by much. Yeah, here white really wants to make a Atari and honestly make the eye. There's some bad Aji here for black. So by making this eye, white is safe locally. White is not afraid of moves like this because white can uncut. The right side is so strong, white can take some extreme measures. And after 3, there's potentially something in the corner. See this cut, if black connects here. So right now the Liberty Race works for black, but that means this move is Sente. So it's easier for white to make eyes down here. And there's a lot of co-threats, obviously. Okay. So nothing too crazy. White settled on the bottom. I think some of this exchange was unnecessary because it made black shape very strong. So for example, if white just played the safest move, maybe black will still have to play here, and then white can get sente. So in the game, white spent 2 moves in this area, something like this. But because white is so strong, there's really no point of spending so many moves. Okay, so black mounted attack on the left, but was end up unsuccessful. Okay, no questions yet? Okay. On the left, the weakness for this shape is actually this move. In a lot of cases, this is the most common follow-up. Black can take the cornerstone. This is worth upwards of 15 points. Honestly, even more, because pushing, usually this push is worth 15. So capturing that zone is worth basically 20 points. Yeah, this is very big. If black can capture this zone, usually this will be good enough locally. If white plays here, black can push cut. The fight probably doesn't work for white. Yeah, white here, or the turn. Oh. I didn't press the breakout room. Yeah, so locally black invaded on the wrong spot, unfortunately. I would say looking on the board or on the whole board, the weak spot for white is probably the top right corner. So I would recommend black to play here, because if a fight breaks out in this region, it could potentially help black build the top side, and that can help maybe compensate for the loss in the bottom earlier. Yeah, so getting gote here was devastating for black. It strengthened white. It seemed like black built a wall, but really this wall didn't do much. And that's at the expense of missing out on the 20-point move on the side. All right, so if we look at it, black got a little bit of territory here, but in the other variation, black could have gotten all of this corner territory. So really, black's not gaining much. Yeah, I think white played really well this game. White didn't really start any unnecessary fight. Kasumi, the target smile block is more than good enough. And then white successfully played a sacrifice here. Yeah, and then black started another fight and then nothing happened. Yeah, because it doesn't really work. So black played a Hane here, but then white ignored. It might be because this is actually gote. So if it's black's turn, can black do anything? Yeah, like this is sente, but yeah, it looks like even if it's black's turn to play, black might still be dead. Let's see, is there anything black can do? Usually it's this clamp can create a ko. And it looks like in this case, there's still a possibility for a ko. Right, there could still be a call, but yeah, white is playing some senti moves on the left. Oh, so it's more like white wants to play some senti moves, and then on the right, if black wants to, technically black can still live like this. It's not super comfortable, but this is still I'll eyeball about 30 points. Yeah, I'm not sure why Tenuki earlier. This is a live shape. That said, though, none of this affects the game because white got all the center, and black doesn't really have any real territory. Yeah, I mean, without knowing the situation, it seems like white played a flawless game. Yeah, I sure hope they have the cameras on during the game. Otherwise, it will be a game people suspect of AI assistance. I'm not saying white did for sure, but because I think they all have their cameras on. Yeah, I think a few Tetsuji, very important for Q. I think the highlight, honestly, for me, this game is white's block, and then has a very nice textbook sacrifice here. This whole sequence solidify the corner and then allow white to profit in the center as well. And then that allow white to get sente and then expand the corner. So notice, even in this upper fight, white got more than black. And we established that black already invested some point by allowing white to live so easily on the left. So ultimately, black was just outclassed this game. Of course, there's that opening reading error in the bottom right too. So very, very nice game for white. Yeah, moving on to the last game. Okay, so this is, I think, a rare Joseki. Maybe not even a Joseki. There was a very old shape like this, but I think nowadays I think black will hane, and then there's some complicated variation. Or play here. I think this is still played. And then this is the one Joseki. Maybe white will push and then come out. I think this game variation is better for black because then the opening, the double Kakari move is essentially useless. If white's plan is just to play on the right side, white can basically do the same thing with this move. Maybe black won't connect, but the result will be similar. White can definitely settle on the right. There's no point of hurting one stone just to get a fairly average result on the right. I think it's worthwhile to extend. White will probably respond, and that will strengthen black a lot and allow black to expand on top. If black doesn't do that later, there's still a chance for white to play up, or there's some potential aji in this area. So maybe something like this, for example. So maybe black doesn't extend right away, but we should keep in mind that this is an important move. Okay, so typical Joseki. Okay. White hane here, but this is a very small move right now. Locally, even if white wants to play endgame, extending is the only move. Because this move aims for a monkey jump. So technique-wise, we should remember extending is right. And in terms of this specific shape, bumping is a very obvious move locally because white can most likely connect back. Right, so then black will be left without a base. If black tries to resist, then white can still just utilize the cutting points and connect underneath. Right now the ladder works for white, so White can even extend here. And notice this is also an issue for black. Yeah, so that's one reason I want black to exchange this move earlier, because at this point, if white bumps, black can potentially fight. If white cuts, black doesn't have to connect here, but rather black can connect on the outside. This is still a favorable fight for black. Even if white cuts here, it's similar. Black can descend down. Even if white captures this stone at 16, black can see on the outside and white cannot live on the inside. Okay, so white lost initiative by wasting a move with endgame. Yeah, okay, so this is a really good result for black. So with one move, black destroy all of the upper side. And on the outside, white still can't do much. Okay, so I think black should just block. You should settle your group. With one move, you settle as a group. More proactive move on the outside, maybe jump. But this is the wrong direction, because it basically helped white to strengthen the group, and you can't double Hane. If black wants to play in the center, just turn. And this will allow black to have a powerful attack. And notice when white plays anything on the left, it naturally helps black reinforce the side. This game sequence, there's still a very severe peep. So we cannot say the black's group is super strong yet. But now white gets a lot more liberty in the center. And this fight is more uncertain. Yeah, so all of a sudden white is back into the game. And because this is a fake eye, black's group is not completely safe yet. I think white should Hane once, because that gives white an eye shape, an eye in the center. This will definitely matter later in the fight. Okay. So here I think is a good chance. Black should Tenuki and play in the center. This might be an attack, but locally black can still respond. I think this is still okay. Yeah, there's some liberty shortage, but black is alive for now. And in the case that even if that doesn't work, black can definitely sacrifice the stone on the side, because what's waiting black is capturing the entire center. So white doesn't have time to do anything on the top. Yeah, so this extension is definitely Sente. And at this point, black can think about playing this move or honestly continuing to attack, because it seems unlikely that this group will survive if black gets 2 moves in a row. And the center is definitely bigger than the top. So this is a good chance for black to mount a counterattack. Yeah, so this bump is lost a lot of initiative, I would say. And now white gets this Hane, and black becomes a weaker group. Okay, so white should definitely extend. Black's shape is not very good. In the case that black can push, white can consider double Hane. Maybe seal black in. So the question is whether this group can live. Yeah, right now it may be difficult. So this might be hard, which means white has to back up a little bit sooner. But even white, let's say extend, and then block, and then Kosumi. This will be a live group, or block here. This is alive. Yeah, getting the center extension is still more important. because black plays some, this is more or less, these are more or less dame. But now white gets a sente extension, and this will be very powerful towards the bottom. This move, on the other hand, this Hane peep doesn't do anything. I can understand why it wants to connect here, but I don't really understand Hane before connecting. If anything, white wants to Atari and then connect. So when black plays the tiger's mouth, it's not as clean. Black has to spend an extra move to capture. This is not ideal, but I can understand the logic behind this sequence. But here it just seems like, oh, so black made another mistake. Black should definitely play this move. This is a key. In the top, there's just no way that this group will die. If white seals, black can definitely still live locally. Yeah, this group is not in danger yet. I see. So there's some center fight. I think white will want to Atari from this area, this side. And then black can come back here. This is almost sente because I mentioned the peep aji earlier. So black probably wants to defend, maybe block or something like that. And then white can get sente to play again. The benefit of this Atari is that it's a very tight move. It forces black to respond, and it gives white a lot of forcing moves. After black Kosumi here, it's hard for white to play something forcing the center. So white has two weak groups. That's hard to deal with. And here, white should peep. This is the key, the vital point. Black can block here, but in this case, white can still do a lot. For example, bumping here. If black does anything on this side, then white can potentially cut. Yeah, whether just some cut in the center. Or white can maybe, yeah, Kosumi here, or maybe Kosumi here. The aji is just very bad. There's a lot white can play with. For example, white can cut once. If black Atari, then white can cut here. So with sacrificing one stone, white already neutralized this move. Or white can just Atari right away, and then now black's shape is not very good. Yeah, so basically once white peeps here, black doesn't really have a solid eye shape on the left. And then back to black. I understand that this Kosumi almost seals out black, but before we live, especially before we make a painful two-eye-ish group, make life in this painful two eyes, we should try to maximize the amount of sentes we can get on the outside. For example, if black can think about Atari here. If this group is not in any danger, white may choose to connect or escape. But notice this gives black a lot of aji. If white connect, black can tenuki now, because this creates another half eye, and the top has another half eye, so black can tenuki. If black plays here first, later when black Atari here, white will definitely not care about this stone. So if white doesn't want black to get another eye, white wants to keep sente, maybe white would escape. But then black can push. And you can see white's liberty is now very tight. And it might not be possible for white to manage this. Right? If black Atari twice and then boom, it seems like the upper group is cut off. White is definitely in trouble here. If white plays here, black captures, there's still a cut, so white connects and then black jumps out. It seems like white cannot seal this group. So all of a sudden, black has found another way to fight. And if black wants to spend one move, it's much better that black pushes out this side rather than just making another point in the top. This is relevant especially because living locally is only worth 1 or 2 points. So black wants to play more proactively and be more efficient. And this is the perfect way to do it. Yeah, so why miss the mark on the attack? So I think this is why got back into the game. Otherwise, in the center fight, black definitely has the upper hand for most of it. Okay, here we kind of fall into some shape inertia, I would say. This double hane is good. Will be better. Because it curls white towards the center, and it could help black get more on the right side. Sometimes we're afraid of being cut like this, but notice black's alive on the outside and the inside is already alive. So in this case, black should play more proactively. The worst case scenario for black is that white get the block, and then black has to play a gote, a dame move connecting. So black should do all he can to avoid this possibility. Right, and unfortunately it happened in the game. Okay, so here is another case of life and death. Is this really Sente? I think that's a very bold assumption for white. That when white this save these 2 stones. If black Tanuki, I don't think that's Sente, because black can, these are Atari Sente and black Tanuki. So basically white is trying to kill a group with 5 spaces in the middle. That's not reasonable, especially when this outside is not sealed yet. If the outside is super strong, white can consider peeping here and then try to take away this eye. But notice that requires so many stones in the center, which white doesn't have right now. So depending on how the game goes, I know white won, but this is a major mistake for black. If black Tanuki here, it's probably hard for black to lose this game. And now white gets a chance to attack, and black might be behind at this point. Okay, so here there's a trade. Oh, it's interesting. White definitely needs to kill. I'm not sure why play here. Yeah, the Aji is too bad. But from black's perspective, yeah, it seems like black also needs to do something here. Yeah, maybe there's nothing. Wow, so that means the trade was just not great for black. So the problem was from earlier. I think in this case, black should respond in the center and then see what black can do and then continue fighting. That's potentially a better way, because it's hard for black to win the game without attacking, getting more in the center. In this case, if black already sacrificed it, I think black should sacrifice better. For example, just get more points in the bottom. This is all Sente. Yeah, and then at this point, white needs to reinforce, and then black can continue playing here. If white doesn't, if black ignores this, maybe white can Atari here later. That'll be painful. Or even playing here. This could become Sente. This is very interesting. Oh, so maybe this was a mistake. Huh. Yeah, this is a complicated trade. White got some on the bottom, but notice the right side is already cut off. It's almost dead. And if black can cut off the center, this upper group, white probably cannot come back from this. Oops. So that'll be a problem. And then this critical moment, black played there. And then that leads to a different trade. Well, it's definitely an exciting game. I think this move may not be a co-threat. If black just tenuki, is that possible? White still cannot connect. So the only way is to have a capturing race here. White has 5-6 liberty, black has 6. 3, 6. But white can't really seal black's liberty on the left. Yeah, even moves like this wouldn't work. Or maybe it does work. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. So white is up 1 liberty locally. Yeah, but this all happened so fast. Black can potentially... One problem for black is this Kosumi. Black should connect. And notice if the same thing happened in the game, white wouldn't have a live shape. Here, I think white can live by this Keima. This will give white an extra space. So that will be different. Here, black and Atari, that will definitely make the next few co-threads more painful for white, or even Atari on this side. For example, something like this. Black is still up in liberty, and this will maximize the number of points what black has. Oh, so black captured here. That's painful. That's not very important. So black basically tenuki in the middle of the ko. If black captured here, the game would definitely be over because the center's dead, and white didn't get anything. Or at the very least, this side is bigger. Yeah, I'm not sure what was happening. What happened to black? So white basically sacrificed successfully, and then black didn't get a real co-threat in the bottom. Wow. Yeah, at this point, black should just get 2 moves here. Yeah, at first glance, this should be enough for black to win, because white captures some on the right, but black captured all of this in the center. This is not a fair trade. And by losing the bottom and the top and the right, white was able to black blew his lead. Yeah, ultimately black didn't get anything and even lost the corner. So yeah, I think it's quite a regrettable loss for black, because for most of the game, black definitely has the upper hand. And at the very end, white was able to make several favorable trades and got a lot of points back. I think highlight of the game was that white failed to take advantage of the liberty issues. We've all learned that the peep is a weakness, and even when there are more cells around a shape like this, the peep is still the vital point. Oftentimes, even if the peep stone dies, let's say it's something like this, it's still worthwhile because that leaves a lot of liberty shortage or a future Aji to exploit. So if you see a shape like this, go for the peep. Yeah. With that, I think we're right around time, so I'll just wrap my review here. Is there any questions on this game or previous games?
No questions. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for stopping by. Okay, so I will stop the recording then. Thank you.